Good evening. Welcome to another edition of NNPA and Black Press USA's FIRE program. I'm your host, Taylor Thomas. And listen, I'm going to start the program off by telling you I have to thank all of our wonderful followers and supporters. If you have something special that's taking part in your community, in your state, and for you that's outside of the United States, share it with me. Who knows? You very well could be a special guest on the show. Simply email me the details at taylorthomasanchor@gmail. That's taylorthomasanchor@gmail. All right, so we're just a couple of weeks away from the huge official summer kickoff, summer travel, Memorial Day weekend. So I figure it would be really nice to do a special show getting you prepared now that we're somewhat out of COVID season, right? COVID area, right? Well, yes, we're still dealing with it, and there are still some upticks, so we don't want to act like it's not still an issue. But more people are talking about traveling and going away from home, seeing friends and families that they haven't seen in the last 2.5+ years because of COVID. So joining me tonight is a familiar face and even familiar name. She is the Frugal Socialite, and her name is Lucinda. Good evening, Lucinda.
Hi, Taylor. How you doing?
Lucinda, are you on location? Are you serious?
I'm on location today because the Frugal Socialite gets around. I am really trying to live my best life on a budget. So I try to be frugally phenomenal as I go around and do my thing. And Taylor, I really have a lot of fun doing my thing. So yes, I'm on location. I am in Atlanta, hot Atlanta.
Hot Atlanta. I see there's an incredible pool back there.
Yes, let's show it.
I love this. And you know what I love about this? It's so impromptu. That is gorgeous. So listen, what I have to ask you, when we talked before, you are really good about making the dollar stretch, and you're not alone. You bring your family with you, so they benefit, and your children are learning some of the things, I'm sure, on how to, I don't want to say ball on a budget, but to be really frugal and smart with your money. And there's nothing wrong with being frugal, right?
Not at all. So I've seen a whole lot of takeoffs on my name. It seems that people love the idea of being a socialite and they like putting a little something in front of it. I've seen the broke socialite.
What?
I've seen, yeah. And a lot of people ask me, are you the broke socialite? And I say, no, not at all. Because your mindset is what you're going to be, and broke is not it. Now, I wouldn't mind being balling socialite, like you just said. That's not bad. But really, being frugal is a mindset. It's not necessarily cheap. It's just knowing how to use the resources that are in front of you and make it work in your lifestyle.
Lucinda, how did the Frugal Socialite really come to be?
So, Taylor, that is really funny. The Frugal Socialite started out catering. I basically took the classes, cake decorating, had a lot of ideas. I think I was the cake boss before cake boss was, out and popping. And so basically, I love to stack cakes and do different things. And I started making cakes for friends, family. And when you get outside of your circle, all of a sudden you're in business and you need prices and you need a name. So I wanted to convey the idea that you could live a catered lifestyle. You could cater your parties and it could be frugal. So the Frugal Socialite was the way that normal people could have catered fabulous parties. Now, because that name kind of lends itself to a whole lot of things, the Frugal Socialite became my freelance writing name. I am a career journalist. And so, like you're taylorthomas.com. And so I took those skills and became frugalsocialite.com. And that's my pen name.
I love it. So listen, let's talk about, I said before when we opened up the show that we are really a couple of weeks from the big American US kickoff official of summer. The pools open up all across the country, especially if you have, 3 seasons or all 4 seasons. But what are some of the big deals that you are seeing now? Because I want to talk about things. I want people to think about traveling differently. I know we're still dealing with some things with the pandemic. I alluded to that there are more. I mean, I know that the ticket sales are going up, for hotel rooms are going up, even at places that are closed. So we need to figure out how we can stretch the dollar, and do we go abroad or do we stay stateside? So let's cover all the bases. What are some of the things that you're seeing now ahead of the big Memorial Day holiday?
Okay, let's talk about where we're going to go. So, like you
Okay.
said, we have, is it 3 weeks? Do we have a full 3 weeks?
Not full. Yeah, almost.
I didn't think so. It's like right around the corner. Um, Today, I'm focusing on the United States
Okay.
because we are still in a global pandemic. And as much as we don't want that to hamper us, let's be real. There's nothing worse than going somewhere abroad and you can't get home because
Mm.
all of a sudden there's a travel restriction, or
Ooh,
you're on that cruise and you're floating around in the middle of the sea because you can't dock or port. So today I'm talking about how to make it happen in the United States and where you might want to go. So let's start off and talk about the fact that you have just 3 days. It's a Memorial Day weekend. So this is why I'm showing this gorgeous layout that's in Atlanta. So why am I in Atlanta? Because I took a Frugal Socialite little vacation. It really wasn't a vacation. It was supposed to be a work trip, but I did my thing the way I'm going to tell you how to do it. So
okay.
first of all, Airbnbs are all the rage and inns are all the rage. But there's something else out there that you can do and totally control, and it's called renting a private pool. So this is why I'm out here. This could be an Airbnb. It can also be something that you find on swimply.com. So that's SWIMPLY.com, Swimply or
Right.
Swimly. I need to check that really fast. But um, basically, you go onto the app and you put in your location and rent a pool. So, for instance, this is a typical setup. This is a pool with a diving board, if you can see that in the
Mhm.
back.
Yeah.
It is 9 feet. And then there are several sitting areas, as you can see. Now, Swimply pretty much caters to private homeowners who have a pool and they would like to maybe earn some revenue when they're not in the pool and they're not swimming. There are various layouts. This one happens to have a barbecue grill. There's a sunroom area. And this house is so fabulous that it could totally be an Airbnb. So when you're thinking about Memorial Day and you are hot and your pool does not exist, like you don't have one in your backyard, go onto the app, look and see what's in your area. Now, what I see in many metropolitan areas is that the rates go from $40 on up. So it
Mhm.
depends on the amenities that they offer at the pool.
Now, I was made aware of that right before the pandemic hit. Um,
Hmm.
we had some people that asked if our pool was on that. And I said, what are you talking about? And I went on there and you search, DC, and you're like, oh my goodness. I mean, the places were in Virginia and places. I was really, really surprised about that. And I'm just thinking, so they have to have a back entrance, right? I mean, we didn't do it, obviously. And I was just wondering how you did that. Cause like, what if you're still in the house, or are people
Right.
just are they not in the house? Like, what's the situation that you've learned since now that you're actually using it?
So, okay, back entrances. So here we have a back entrance
Okay.
and it
Okay.
can be locked, and there's a driveway, and this is a side door, and at this particular location the bathroom is right there.
Okay.
Most of the time, well, it depends on the owner.
Hmm.
So I too am a pool homeowner, and I would prefer to be the host, but then I'm the frugal socialite, so it would be just set out. um Lots of people aren't there and they have some kind of maybe electronic lock, they have
Hmm.
cameras. I'd really have to delve into it a little bit more because I too looked at the app from the business point of view.
Yeah.
However, I have a friend, one of your sorors, who's having her big 50th, and she did rent the pool with Swimply.
What?
It's a mansion that's right outside of DC. And with this particular pool rental, she gets the 360 photo booth. She gets the barbecue area. They have a pool house. So it can be as grand as you want it to be. Or on the lower end prices, you basically can just bring your kids out and kick it in the pool for a couple of hours. And that's it. You can do that for maybe $50 to about 75. And when you think about how much a public pool really charges, that's not
Mhm.
bad to have it to yourself.
You know what? I have to give it to these entrepreneurs that are really, I mean, first from the Uber, and then Airbnb, and then the pool. And I'm the kind of person I will admit, I did Airbnb once, but I'm telling you, I felt like I was not alone. So I am probably not the person to do the Airbnb, but I really do like the fact that you can rent out a room if you're in a popular city, or actually you can rent it anywhere, but if you're in a popular city and it helping you to make ends meet, I really do like that. And the fact that if you have a pool and it's nice and you want to help cover the cost, it's not cheap being a pool owner.
It
I
is
just
not.
think it's really, really great that you're giving other people who want to or who can afford to rent it for the things that they need. I do have to ask you one thing if you decide to do it. What about the legal ramifications? With people swimming in your pool, do you release the right? Is there anything on the app in regards to that?
This sure is. So on the app, it assures the potential client that insurance comes with this. So the
Whoa.
pool owner has to have, I think it said about $1 million worth of insurance. And that is a good thing for the client as well, because the client doesn't want to find themselves in a slip and fall. That's
Sure.
what I worry about more than drowning.
Okay.
Um, when you are out at public pools, sometimes they have something right on the surface to help with it being a little, what would you say?
Non-slip.
What did you say?
I said for the ground around the pool, it has so it's not as slippery. I mean, you still have to watch yourself.
Right.
Yes.
There are no slip paints that you can actually
That's
put
right.
onto the deck. But anyway, yes, you have to have some level of insurance, and there are waivers. I mean, there are all kinds of things that honestly, when you go to a hotel swimming pool, they have a sign somewhere posted that
Mhm.
generally tells you what they're liable for and what the rules are.
That's
So
right.
it's the same kind of thing. We just don't think of it that way because we aren't signing anything physically.
Okay.
But if the sign is posted, that means we as the swimmers are responsible for having the knowledge and knowing what we can and cannot do.
Sure. So now you appear to be in a residential area. How
Yes,
is that? How is that handled? I mean, if you have a party for 50 people, I mean, they're going to pretty much interrupt those neighbors.
this is true. And so when you are looking at your Swimply pools,
Hmm.
they present a lot of different choices. And so you have to really look at what you are renting for. Very much like Airbnb. In a lot of the profile descriptions for Airbnb, it will say whether or not you can have a party. This
Oh, okay.
particular, I'm going to back up a little bit. This particular lot is 6 acres and it is surrounded by woods. So, with that being in mind, the neighbor's house is way clear on the other side of both of these wooded areas. So, the sound wouldn't be a problem.
That is really exciting. I love that. So, you were talking about, we were mentioning about, Memorial Day is coming up, and we all know a lot of prices have jumped up. I don't know if hotels and restaurants in popular beach areas or resort
Mhm.
areas are just trying to make up for the 2.5 years that everyone pretty much was asked to stay indoors. But the prices are really, really up there. And for a weekend like Memorial Day weekend, you usually have where they say you have to stay there for 3 nights. Can
Yes.
you help us with that?
Okay. The 3 night deal irritates me to no end, Taylor, because things happen. So just like with this trip, I made a business trip and set out to be gone for about 4 days. But weather canceled some things that I had to come back home for. And therefore, I extended and I got fabulous with it. Here are the things that I found. With the 3-day minimum, the Frugal Socialite does not do that. So, what I normally do, let's say Memorial Day weekend starts on the 29th. When does it start this year? Let me look at my calendar really fast.
Let's see,
Um,
28th.
the 27th is Friday, so let's
Okay,
go with
right.
that. Okay, so Memorial Day weekend starts on the 27th. What I do is I make a reservation that starts on the 25th, okay, or the 26th,
Okay.
because I'm not in the Memorial Day weekend. And then within the allotted time schedule, I go online and I adjust my dates. So from the beginning, I make 2 reservations. So I would make a reservation starting on Thursday, the 26th, for 3 nights. So that means I'm covered through Saturday. Then I make my next reservation that starts on Sunday, or no, that starts on Monday, the 30th.
Okay.
Okay, because that's the last day of the 3-day weekend situation. And then I play with my dates. Therefore, I don't get stuck in that 3-day weekend. Now, for some people, they're like, oh, what in the world? I can't do that. That's gypping the hotel. You're not gypping the hotel, because literally people walk into the hotel off the beach because they plan to go home, but they've had too much sun and too much fun, and now they want a room. The hotels will charge you a cancellation fee and rebook that room higher than what you agreed to a month prior. So that is my suggestion. Um, the other thing that I do is I never put my real working credit card online. Now, what I mean my working credit card, I mean that credit card that you use for everything and you definitely need your limit. I have found that it's more beneficial for me and many others who have taken this advice to get a green dot card, an American Express Bluebird. Particular prepaid cards act as real credit cards. Green dot, American Express. Um, I keep enough money in that account so that my credit card is authorized, that they can see
Yes.
that it's a real card.
Yes.
And then I'm giving myself a little bit of freedom, because if I have to change and maneuver and do all of these things, I don't necessarily end up with bills all over the place. Another thing that I do is I call the hotel directly. Everything that you do online or through 800 reservations is very much automated. When you call the 800 number, they're going to give you the spiel. They're
Right.
sitting in Omaha and you're trying to go to a hotel in California. They don't really know what's going on ground level at that hotel. So what I normally do is I make my reservations, I call the hotel, I ask for the front desk manager, and I just talk to them and say, "Hey, listen, I'm coming on a popular 3-day weekend. Unfortunately, my family won't get there until this day. I made a reservation. Can you please help me with modifying that?" You know what? 80% of the time, the person says, "Sure, let me take a look. Oh, yeah, we're going to be booked. I can help you out this time," particularly if you are a loyalty member.
Okay.
You should always sign up for the guest services program. I say this almost every show that I'm on, over and over and over and over and over. Because even though you don't think you're going to be staying at a Hilton anytime soon, you'd be surprised when that family reunion or job trip, business trip ends up at a Hilton. And before you know it, you've stayed at a Hilton property 5 times and you're scratching your head because you could have had 1 or 2 free nights.
Wow. I mean, you're exactly right. I think even with myself, I said no. People tell you go ahead and get the little. I mean, it doesn't cost you anything. And you're right. By the time you look up and realize that you have used it X amount of times, you could have had points in your favor. Is there any particular place that you enjoy going that really has a lot of benefits that families tuning in now could benefit from as well?
As in the hotel chain or a location? Hotel chain?
Yes.
All right. Marriott, to me, is the most consistent hotel chain. Even though a lot of them are franchised, they just seem to keep the highest standard of consistency across the board.
Hmm.
Meaning, if I'm going into a Marriott that's owned by corporate, I
Mm-hmm.
don't feel the service difference nor the quality of food or rooms if I'm going into one that's owned by a franchise. And
Okay.
by the way, Taylor, I want you to take a guess. Which minority group or ethnic group owns the majority of hotels in the United States?
You said ethnic group?
Yes.
Asian.
Bingo, you got it. That's good.
Did my
Um,
homework. Did my homework.
you're
Wow.
on it. Um, Asians and African Americans own a significant number of hotels. Marriott and Hilton are very generous with their ownership with these groups. Um, Matter of fact, two new hotels opened up right outside the Vegas Strip, and they are African American owned. They're a Hilton
Heard
Garden
of that.
Inn. Yep, a Hilton Garden Inn and another brand that's right beside it. I just sent someone to the Hilton Garden Inn in January, and they had a fabulous stay, and the concept matched Las Vegas. So, again,
Lucinda,
I
that's
go with.
really special because you have a lot of people over the last couple of years who've really talked about supporting Black businesses, and
Mhm.
hotels is one of the areas where there's a big lull. Now, again, it's in certain areas, but that is really interesting that you would point that out.
Well, we are owning all over the United States. Okay, so I want to point that out. The organization is called NABHOOD, the National Association of Black Hotel Owners and Developers. I think I missed an O. And then there's the Asian component of that group as well. They have their own group. Recently, they've been combining and doing combined conventions. And that's a lot of fun. I mean, so many different cultures coming together and getting their piece of the pie in America. So I'm a Marriott girl, but I will have to say that this stay, which was so unplanned, was with IHG, which is
Oh, that I'm sorry. That is
no,
I'm really intrigued. When I learned about that a few years ago, I'm gonna let you go. Sorry.
it's all good.
It really
This is
is
a shared
interesting.
experience. So, IHG, Intercontinental Hotel Groups, otherwise known for most people as Holiday Inn. All right. I have a lot of issue with Holiday Inn, mainly because they used to be the staple and the standby go-to for everybody. They were the biggest chain. And then they kind of fell off. They did not stay modern. They didn't do a lot of things, but they've come up. I went to one of their conventions maybe 10 years ago when they had their rebranding of the logo and different things. They also own Intercontinental Hotels.
Mhm.
They own Crown Plaza. I just stayed in the loveliest IHG property, the Crown Plaza. What was it called? Peachtree City, right outside of Atlanta. The whole campus of the resort looked like this: wooded, beautiful indoor swimming pool under a lot of skylights, a buffet that was open. And that's deluxe because buffets just started reopening. I
Right.
love a hotel buffet because you get the upgraded food on a nice hotel buffet. It's not like going to the GC. I don't want to throw anybody under the bus. We love it, used to love it, but I like a hotel buffet. um, but here is the best thing about IHG. They have them and Wyndham both have some of the lowest point redemptions. So it doesn't take a million years to accumulate points.
That's good.
Like all of the loyalty programs now, you don't even have to stay in the hotels to get points. You have credit cards, you have the dining programs where certain restaurants give you points with the hotel. You can convert airline miles. There's all kinds of things going on. Basically, Taylor, this hotel was almost at capacity. Beautiful Crown Plaza, well appointed rooms. I stayed in the lakeside building, which overlooked the lake and beautiful wildlife. I paid $33 a night.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. In 2022 or 2019?
It's in 4 days ago.
Oh,
Basically, I traded in points. Only 33,000, no, I'm sorry, 18,000 points. 18,000 points for $33 in cash additional. And then one night where they had a higher occupancy, I had to trade in about 20,000 points and pay $66. But the moral of the story is I stayed in a beautifully renovated room with a lakeside view, nice amenities, organic, plant-based soaps and things like that in the room, really nice high thread count sheets.
wow.
I paid 33 for one night, 33 for another night, 66. I'm not great with math, but that's $100 and some dollars. You know, correct me if I'm wrong. 30, 66 and 66. Those aren't good numbers. But anyway, with taxes and everything, I definitely paid in the mid hundreds for
That
3 nights.
is unbelievable. And again, as I tell viewers, you bring your family with you, which is pretty cool. I mean, it's one thing to be able to get a good deal, but now you're creating memories for your kids and your husband to experience this, and they have no idea that they're doing it frugally, which is so smart. I love the ideas and things that you're coming up. And I welcome viewers that are tuning in. If you have some tips or ideas that you want to share with our Frugal Socialite. Her name is Lucinda. She's talking to us. Actually, she's talking to us from Atlanta at one of her vacations that she made, a frugal vacation. And you know what? Speaking of that, you said you're focusing really on the U.S. So
Yes.
is staycation still viable now or
Yes.
not?
It is. So again, renting a pool can help with your staycation if you happen to stay home and do some other fun things. I have a couple of ideas. So if you're staycationing and you're staying at home because you really need the rest, sometimes we need that.
Sure.
You really need the rest and you just want to do something in the backyard, but you don't want to cook. How about hitting a couple of restaurant grand openings? How about hitting some Black owned restaurants? How about buying some Black owned spirits? There are 2 vodkas that I love. Invite people over, tell them to bring a dish, and have like a martini party that you put vodka in martini. Have a martini party featuring like the vodka that's women owned or Black American owned or whatever. One that I love is called Voudre.
What was that?
Voudre. Voudre. It's a beautifully bottled purple bottled vodka. Chanel is the owner. She lives in DC. I met her years ago when she was just telling me about her idea to be, a female owned vodka brand. And now she actually hosts the Black Wine and Spirits Festival in DC. It's been put on hold because of the pandemic, unfortunately.
Sure.
And then I have another one for you. This one I love as well.
That is a beautiful bottle. I don't drink, but that's a beautiful bottle.
Isn't that bottle beautiful?
Is that Black owned?
It's Black owned by a brother named Cliff. It is called King 79 vodka. Then we have all kinds of wineries and things like that. So Black owned wineries. We have, if you're looking for a list of Black owned wineries. You can look for Google the, let me get it right, it's AAAV, African American Vintners Association, the Association of African American Vintners, AAAV. Okay. www.aaav.com. Okay.
Okay, say that one more
So,
time for me slowly for everyone grabbing a piece of paper and pen.
okay. Let me make sure I have that right while I'm saying it to you. Okay. So it's AAAV. Okay. And that is the African American, what did I say, Taylor? It's hot out
Triple
here.
AV.
Okay. The African American Vintners, Association of African American Vintners. So it's three A's. Association
AAAV.
of African American Vintners.
I
Google
love
them.
it.
So they will give you the whole list of African American owned wineries. So if you're staycationing, why not find the ones that are in your area and just go there one at a time? Go, have a great time, drive home. Some of them actually are near really nice inns, and I say
Mhm,
inns and B&Bs again
mhm,
because vineyards are not like right in the city. So you might find yourself
right.
really off the beaten path.
You're right.
But if you also want to do kind of a staycation, why don't you pick the spirit of your choice wherever you live? So if you are within a couple of hours of Kentucky,
Okay.
why don't you do something called in and
Excuse me.
in and in? And
What?
that's when you're on the Kentucky Bourbon Trail and you're
Okay.
going from end to end to end.
Really?
So bourbon, you know, you only really hear about it when it's Kentucky Derby time, which just occurred.
Right.
But bourbon is an American born classic.
Mhm.
Um, Congress declared it the spirit of America because it was derived in America. And then also, um,
Excuse me.
bourbon is aged in oak barrels and they're American oak barrels. And so everything about it is American. Um, so you can follow wine trails. You can follow in Tennessee with wine, Virginia, New
Mm.
York Finger Lakes,
Mm.
California, of course, Oregon, the state of
Oregon.
Washington, Oregon,
Okay.
great wine.
Wow.
Um, the state of Washington, Georgia. Okay, so Georgia has more than your muscadine wine that
Okay.
everyone's heard about.
Right.
Um, Georgia has become a major bottling area, also a major film area. The film office of the state of Georgia has a whole team that attracts movies to Georgia. Okay, and then Tyler Perry, you know, his studios are here. I think Steve Harvey and his a lot of
Atlanta.
things that he does are in Hotlanta area, you know, Georgia. So there's a lot of ways to staycation and do something completely different.
I
If
really
you
like
want
those
to do rum,
suggestions.
I'm sorry.
I really like those suggestions. So listen, that's couples, right? What are some things as a mom and a
Yep,
wife?
yep.
What are some great ideas or do's and don'ts for families trying to find somewhere? I'm a beach baby, so you know, can you give us some tips and things that families can do if they're looking to really stretch the dollar?
I sure will. Now, let me back up and say that there are many, many wineries that recognize the family because
Oh,
wineries are family businesses. And a
okay.
lot of the kids have been in the business with their grandparents or whomever started the wines. So many of the wineries have playrooms. They let the kids take their shoes off and stomp grapes. They get in there and stomp grapes and do all kinds of things.
Oh my
I
goodness.
know that the director, Coppola, Francis Coppola of
Yes.
Godfather, his
Yes.
wines, he has a huge wine list. And I went to see a lecture by him a few years ago, and he talked about out at Coppola, they have a pool, they have play area, they have all kinds of things. So I just wanted to say that you
I
don't always
appreciate
have
that.
to leave the kids at home.
I did not know that. See, that's why we have the Frugal Socialite to tell us the do's and don'ts. And speaking of that, let's talk about some do's and don'ts for 2022 as it pertains to summer travel.
Okay. First of all, we do need to remember that we're in a pandemic.
Okay.
I've been in a lot of major cities during the pandemic starving. And I'm saying that because even though we are coming out of it, the restaurants are still not keeping the hours that you think that they would keep. So 9 o'clock is kind of the bewitching hour between 8 and 9 for most restaurants that I've found up and down the East Coast, even in the very busy areas. Here in Atlanta, I got stuck with having to go to McDonald's because it was 10 o'clock and I wasn't in Midtown. But even when you are in a very, very busy destination, even when I've been in Orlando over the last 2 years of the pandemic, you need to plan ahead for the food. Just know that it is not business as usual. I've also found that amenities have been pulled. Okay, so the free breakfast that you get with a lot of hotel brands,
Yes.
families, we're looking for the free breakfast. Some of them have come back, but with a lot of the hotels, they are giving like grab and goes, which is literally like a granola bar, a piece of fruit, and an off-brand juice box. For
Did you
me,
say
that
off
does not
brand?
work. Yeah, that doesn't work for me at all. At
No,
all. And
no.
so I'm very happy to say that some of the hotels have come back with what they offer. Again, IHG, Holiday Inn, Express and Suites,
Mhm.
they actually have their full breakfast. That's one that's very, very consistent. Other do's and don'ts of the summer travel. Don't be afraid to plan at the last minute. Even
Really?
though a lot of people are, yes, traveling, there are a lot of people who are not. There are a lot of empty seats. So last minute travel is still here. It is.
So you need to be flexible, right? I mean, I know that I recently, and we're going to talk about this too, but you've got to be a little flexible. I mean, for me, I like to have structure, and I mean, but if you're really wanting to stretch your dollars, and if you have the ability to leave at any time, what's your advice on that? Of really being able to get the best flights, or, book the best deals.
Memorial Day weekend is tough. So we're going to back off of the holidays,
Okay.
even though I have really booked great deals on the beach by making that phone call. Do not be afraid to pick up the phone. All right. Flights, that's kind of a different thing because flights are all over the place right now.
Yes.
People are getting the very few flights that exist instead of having maybe, I don't know, 100 flights that go out to a particular destination from a major airport. You still may only have 50. So I steer away from the whole flight thing.
Okay.
Driving, of course, everyone knows how to drive, but you get the most bang for your buck with where you stay as far as the deals, where you stay. I also want to go back for a minute to another unique idea for vacation and staycation. Have you heard about 24-hour spas?
No, not at all. And I love a spa. I haven't been to one in 2.5+ years, but what is a 24-hour spa? I mean, where
All
do they
right.
have that?
So the first thing you might think is what is really going on in
Right?
these spas? But there are quite a few spas that are 24 hours that offer the entire menu of services 24 hours. All right. One great place to go Memorial Day weekend is California. If you want to get on a plane, California is so big and has so many beaches. Um, you are not kind of stuck with high rates because they only have hot weather for a small period of time. So in
Ah,
California,
sure.
sort of located in downtown between Hollywood and the beach, there's a spa called We Spa.
Okay.
24 hours. You can get a facial at 3 a.m. You also have access to everything in the spa building for 24 hours. There's another one in New York that's been there for years called Juvenex. It's in Midtown. Again, their whole menu is available for 24 hours. Now, as I'm saying whole menu, I know some places like We Spa, you can only get body treatments after midnight, but they
Okay.
still have a full service restaurant. You can use the saunas, the jacuzzis. Chateau Elan in Georgia, that has become a really hot girls trip place. I stayed at Chateau Elan in the very early 2000s. It is a resort. It is a winery. Their spa building is, they offer 24-hour access to everything when you stay in the spa building with spa themed rooms. I mean, just amazing. So if you Google 24-hour spas, a whole host of them come up, and they
I
have
would
rates.
never have done that. That is, I would have never have thought of doing that. Now,
Yeah.
listen, I've got some questions that people are asking. What are your thoughts and advice for train travelers?
Train travelers. So I'm reading it now. What about train travel? Okay. Amtrak and I are like this. I mean, we're one. Amtrak recently ran their auto train special, which is great. That's $89 for the tickets. And then
To where?
prices.
From
Okay,
where?
on the auto train. So the auto train goes from Virginia, from Lorton, Virginia to Sanford, Florida. And Sanford is about 40 minutes, I think it's south, north, 40 minutes north of Orlando. I've done this so many times. Yes. So Amtrak offers a couple of ways to travel. If you take the auto train, you literally drive to Sanford on the south end, or you get on in Lorton in Virginia, which is about 30 minutes, give or take, from DC.
Correct.
You get on the train and they drive your car onto the train.
Okay.
So when you get to your destination, you have your car. All your stuff is in your car. It's an overnight train trip. You have to
Okay.
get on by 2 p.m. on both ends,
Okay.
and it leaves at 4, and you get to either end at about 8 o'clock in the morning. Every passenger receives a movie. They show a movie. They have wine receptions or other kinds of receptions, which they kind of cut back a little bit with the pandemic.
Sure.
But hopefully that's going to come back. Everyone gets dinner. Everyone gets a continental breakfast. And then you
Wait
walk
a
out
minute, wait a
and
minute.
get
You
your
said
car
for $88. What do you
for $89 for the ticket. And then there's one fee, normally running about 200 and up, for the car. So they discount tickets, they don't discount the vehicle.
Sure.
But look at it like this. Let's say you're taking the family to Disney or Tampa,
Mm-hmm.
even Miami, which is 3 hours south of Orlando, make it 3.5 south from the Amtrak station. If you pay 250, I think that's fair for a round trip ticket for each person in the family. Let's say they're 4 people. 250 times 4 versus $89 times 4 and one flat rate for the car. And then you're not renting cars. So
And yeah,
another summer tip, rental car prices have gone through the roof. One of the reasons is because rental cars, they've sold off a lot of the fleets.
yes.
And so instead of seeing the whole wide array of cars that are out there on the lot, there are only a few, and you're going to pay a lot.
Definitely are.
So anywhere you can take your car or drive is not going to leave you stuck,
That's true.
because gone are the days where you just fly in and you choose a car. That's not going to happen. So you need to plan that part ahead.
How about RV rentals?
Yes, RV rentals. All
I
right.
love an RV, a Winnebago. I've always wanted one of those huge. I know people are like, what? I watch those shows showing you these extravagant RVs, and I am just floored. I mean, they extend out the side. I love that. So, what advice do you have?
RV rental advice. Okay. First of all, there are some Black RV associations because now African Americans are coming along and getting more stimulated by adventure travel. One great thing to do is maybe catch one of their conventions and go to one of the events that they have for the public. That's a great thing to do. Also, traditional RV shows kind of hit areas all the time. Go
Yes.
to the show. The shows are geared for sales, but a lot of the companies also rent. So let me give you a couple of do's and don'ts about the RV rentals. There are some websites, lots of websites now that rent RVs. There are two major ones. Those are great if you know what you're doing, if you know what you want, and if you have an owner of the RV who's really going to be educational about their RV. Those operate a lot like Airbnb. They're people's private RVs that they're just renting out. So
Oh,
you may have the owner who kind of says, here are the keys, and this is how you started. Do you have any questions? And then they're hands off. If you really, really are not comfortable, then you might want to rent an RV from a dealership
right.
because
Mhm.
they are going to, first of all, give you the best customer service because they want you to buy it when you get back. They want
Oh.
you to have caught the bug. Um,
That's
One thing that I do hear about Cruise America, Cruise
mm,
America, you probably seen a lot of their banners on the side of
yes.
various things because they also do, I don't know, a little bit of the moving business. I think I see it on U-Haul a lot. Cruise America is like your down and dirty, rough RV rental. They're not luxury, they're basic. But there's a Cruise America location all over the United States. So if you have a problem, you can find your local Cruise America and maybe trade out or something like that. If
I
you
want
rent from a private person and you have a problem, it's a whole different process.
I want to make sure that we don't stop our conversation without talking about Armed Forces Day.
Yes,
As the daughter of a military person, and I know that you have that in your background too. Talk
I
to us
do.
about that because that's coming up pretty soon too, right?
Armed Forces Day is May 21st, which is actually next weekend. And this one doesn't get the same kind of plug as Veterans Day. I think because it's not a holiday where people get the day off, so they're not really focused in on it. But Armed Forces Day has become another nice discounted opportunity. I was in IKEA a couple of weeks ago and they have a whole plan for Armed Forces Day. I've started to see signs pop up everywhere. So if you are a veteran, a spouse, a member of the military, just Google Armed Forces Day 2022 and you'll see various sites pop up and they will list the discounts and the various opportunities.
I think I should also mention one of the great benefits of being either currently in the military or a retired military person is you can travel to any military base, stay there for pennies, pretty much. I mean, I'm being silly, just for a couple of dollars, stay on the property and then visit wherever you want. I mean, that's a great thing. And I believe our military families and our veterans deserve every single special treat and discount that their hearts desire.
You're right about that. Military hotels have come a long way. I am the product of an Army family, and my husband is retired Army as well. I'm not doing a commercial for IHG. I don't mean it to sound that way. They're just like super busy in my frugal socialite life recently. But all of the Army bases are branded IHG hotels.
Okay.
So you
Okay.
get your points for staying on base. And literally, most of the Army hotels are $59 or so.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of them have kitchenettes and other things because a lot of their reason for being is when soldiers are transitioning from one base to another or they're taking a school, a class for maybe a month. And so they need to cook and have that ability. you're getting so much more than what you think you would get. And let's not forget, speaking of beaches, which we'll go back to in another way, Navy bases have hotels that are set up on base at the water, on the waterfront.
Yeah.
So you don't have to have been in the Navy to necessarily get a room on a naval base, Air Force base, or whatever. Everything's kind of joint base now. So
Yes.
all branches, are represented. Pensacola has a great beachfront area on their Navy base. So Pensacola, Florida, that is.
Now I have to ask you about this. There's unique events. Wait a minute. Five is it Fever Up and LuckySeat.com? What is that?
Yes. I'm going to do Lucky Seat first.
Okay.
LuckySeat.com. That's LuckySeat.com.
Mm-hmm.
Lucky Seat is a great find. Basically, you go on to Lucky Seat, you choose your city, and they present a list of the different shows that are coming up. You put in your bid for the show. You click a box that says you agree to promote them on Instagram or Facebook if you actually receive the tickets. Most of the tickets are $29.
What?
Last week they had Hamilton,
No.
$29. That was in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Okay.
Recently, they did the opening of an African American musical called Grace, which is centered around like saying grace and food and kitchen and stuff like that. $29 in Baltimore. They have Hadestown in New York, which is a Broadway show. I've seen Wicked on the site. So what I'm trying to say is that these aren't off-brand, productions. And
Wow.
the seats are good. The seats are really good.
LuckySeat.com. Okay,
Lucky
so
Seat.
FeverUp.com. I have never heard that.
We got the fever. Okay. FeverUp.com. They have phenomenal events. And I call them frugally phenomenal because what you're getting is way more than the price tag. One of the things that I'm going to soon is the Candlelight Concert Series.
Okay.
The Candlelight Concert Series is held in some intimate venue in individual cities. So I see when I looked on Fever Up earlier today, the series is running in Washington, D.C., the San Francisco Bay Area, Atlanta, Charlotte. I mean, I'm kind of mentioning some of the places that a lot of us have relatives. So if we're going, if you're going to see the aunt or grandma or whatever, you can take a little side detour for a night and do something fun. So basically, the candlelight concerts are in an intimate venue, all candlelight, with a jazz group, a pianist, and they are doing special songs from artists that you know. So the ones that are coming up in May, June, July are the songs of Frank Sinatra, the songs of Stevie Wonder, Adele, Coldplay. Some of them are a little classical, but they're definitely, going into other genres. FeverUp.com is also hosting the Bridgerton experience.
That is what I've been looking for. Yes, I was just going to ask you that. I keep seeing it on my social media feeds, and I have not been there, and I don't know if it's legitimate or not. Give me the details. We've got about 5 minutes. I want to be the first person doing the Bridgerton party. And anyone who's throwing one, send Taylor Thomas an invitation because I'm coming.
Taylor, why don't the Frugal Socialite and Taylor Thomas just go to Bridgerton, and then we'll dish as well.
Lucinda, I am not kidding. I am so ready to do that like yesterday. So tell us more.
My friends who've gone to Bridgerton, they actually got there before me, which is a shame. But they had a ball. You dress up in the period costumes or really just formal wear. I've seen gentlemen just wearing suits. So you don't even have to go out and try to
Oh
break
no,
the
I'm doing it
bank,
all the
you
way.
know.
Nope. I want
Yeah.
the big hair like the queen.
Go to Amazon, go to Party City, get those old Halloween costumes and get something that looks, medieval or whatever. But anyway, there are two price points. There is the regular ticket, and with the regular ticket, you are more general admission. You get
Mhm.
into the ball and you do the whole thing. With the VIP, which is $99,
That's it.
you yeah, $99. You
Good.
get some appetizers, you get, I think, a picture with the queen, you get to have some more private areas. They
Okay.
also have a contest where the queen chooses the best costume. I mean,
Oh,
I've got to do this. I really need to do
we
this.
need to now. Wait a minute. Is it in several cities? Because I saw one promoting Bridgerton in the Washington D.C. area. So are
Yes,
there places all
it
across the
moves.
country?
It's
Okay,
moving around.
that's
Yeah,
it.
so
Okay,
all
so
of that is with Fever Up. And Fever Up has other activities like trivia around the cities. They
okay.
have, oh gosh, the secret concerts where they tell you what the event is going to be and you buy the ticket and then they tell you the location. So feverup.com is a slam dunk. I've used it when I've gone into other areas and didn't have a plan. And I,
Mhm.
I made a plan with Fever Up.
I love it. Oh my goodness, we are reaching the top of the hour. I absolutely love talking to you. You know why? Because even though, Lucinda, you are the frugal socialite, it just makes common sense. If you don't spend money on one thing, you have more money saved up or to use it on things that you may need to do or down the road. I like to be a smart spender. I mean, there are some things you go and splurge on, but to be a smart consumer, where you can still support businesses, whether it's a male or female or nationality or gender. I love it. I really, really love what you do. How can people follow you and find out all the neat places that you go and the tips that you share in regards to just travel, food, fun, and merchandise?
My website is frugalsocialite.com. My IG is Frugal Socialite. My Facebook is Frugal Socialite. Are we getting the theme? Frugal
Yeah.
Socialite on everything that you would look on for social media. I promise you, Taylor, what I'm going to do this time is type up all of this information, at least bullet
Okay.
point where you go,
Okay.
and I'll give that to you. Maybe you can put it
Okay.
on your site. I'll have it on my
Absolutely.
site. And yeah, if anyone has questions, just look me up. And I'm so happy to be a travel consultant, which I end up doing all the time.
This is just a lot of fun. I so look forward to being able to follow up with you. And we are going to do this Bridgerton thing. And I'm going
Yeah,
to do it
let's get our date.
live for my great NNPA family and Black Press USA family to see us dressed in the costume. And I'm going to have a fabulous wig. I'm going to have to go ahead and start saving my pennies now for all the stuff that I want to do.
Well, again, don't discount Party City because they have Halloween costumes online all year round.
Well, that's true. That's
And
true.
and now
I
you
gotta go
you
to
know what I
you.
mean?
You'll tell me where to go.
Yeah. I mean, oh, wait. We can't dish about where we're going to get our outfits. So,
Oh, okay. So we got to keep it quiet. Oh,
yeah, we
listen,
do.
real quick. Three top places in the U.S. if you want to go where there's a beach. Where do you recommend? Three top cities that people should think about.
That's so hard. Okay. Um I want to make sure I highlight the West Coast. All right.
Okay.
So, West Coast, everything in Northern California has
Okay.
very unique beach. Um, what is the name of this beach where they filmed that movie about the birds? The birds? If you Google the birds, there's a beach out there so unique, so different from East Coast beaches
Okay.
because it's rocky and
Oh, okay.
I had beautiful pictures out there. So Google the birds and it'll tell you the exact name of that area.
And you
And
recommend it.
fabulous inns. I recommend it. I would also say that a lot of the beaches along the Gulf Coast
Mm,
don't really get a lot of play. And I think it's because the towns that are associated with them are not the big draws. They're not your Miamis or
yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
But if you are again in Florida and you're on the Gulf Coast side and you travel down from Clearwater, a little bit over from St. Petersburg and Tampa, Riviera Beach.
Okay.
Gorgeous.
I love it. This is what
Totally
we need to
gorgeous.
know. Frugal
Yeah.
Socialite, we thank you so much for your insightful information. And listen, if you have something special going on in your community, your city, or your country, and you want to share it with me, you want to come on the show, well, let's find out what it is that you're doing. Please email me at taylorthomasanchor@gmail. That's taylorthomasanchor@gmail. Frugal Socialite, Lucinda, thank you so very much for all your summer
Thank
do's and
you.
don'ts. Until next week, everyone, God bless and goodbye.